Hello, my name's Ollie Bliss and this is my channel Book Draw. For those who don't know, I enjoy looking at queer fiction and occasionally I create images out of it. Today I am doing a winter cull. It's time to kind of create some new space for future reads. So I've actually had a look through my bookshelves and I've identified some books which don't contribute necessarily to a sturdy collection of queerness which I'm trying to accumulate. So these are some books which I have enjoyed. A couple of them I've not enjoyed as much, and I'll highlight some of those. But I feel it's time to give them on to a new plethora of people who can experience and enjoy them. So I'm going through the titles which I'm taking away from my shelves and sending off out into the world. And I thought you might like to see which ones of those I have put together. Okay, kicking it off. A Wrinkle in Time. So this is by Madeleine L'Engle, and I think this will be a great read for mid-grade readers. I'm thinking of like Bookie Laura. I think she'll appreciate this, appreciate who it's directed at. It's a kind of fun, quirky story about a young girl who comes across these three different kind of witchy type characters and take her off into a magical universe, and she's kind of searching for her father. I think it's just because reading this as an adult, I have no sense of nostalgia or attachment to what was really happening in the story, and it's written in kind of in a very basic way, which is very accessible, with a fun adventure. It just wasn't drawing me in personally. I think this will draw lots of other people in on their own level. I enjoyed the film. I felt like I got the sense of the book from that, and I didn't feel the need to spend time, for me personally, reading it. Then I've got The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid. This focuses on a central character who is meeting someone in a cafe, and he talks about his previous experiences and what leads him to become this reluctant fundamentalist. I enjoyed the written style of it. It's actually like the ending. I remember feeling a bit kind of down and depressed by the end of it in terms of what the direction of the character, but in terms of the actual style in which it's written and the way it's composed, it was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2007. I can totally understand why. It was quite a rich journey and a succulent read, which is quite light, and I feel like this is going to be something that other people will pick up and enjoy. I think a lot of people have already read it anyway. But yeah, it's cool. It's an interesting one. The next one is The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is a beautiful, beautiful tale. I really massively enjoyed it. I watched the film first, which led me to pick up the book, and I've also read Gathering Blue, which is a loose sequel to none of the events which directly happen in this one directly affect the events of Gathering Blue. They're kind of independent, but they're a part of the same universe. I haven't read the following two books, but I think that creates this whole world between them all, and from what I've kind of gleaned and understood. But this is predominantly about a young boy who is learning from the giver, who has all the insights and memories of the world. In this world, they don't experience emotion because it's rife with too many contradictory outcomes which have harmed humanity. So this person holds all this information and knowledge, and whereas this young person, like people around him, are kind of drugged and subdued into this kind of grey world of living, and it's about him becoming more open to all the colours of the world, good and bad, and it's just beautifully written and told in a wonderful way. But I've enjoyed that, and I feel like other people will enjoy it too. The next one I've got is Breathe by Tim Winton. I really enjoyed this one. Old scrap piece of paper for a bookmark. It's a really cool story. It's about kind of idolization of this young guy who goes out and surfs and is quite rebellious and committed to his the waves and wanting to go out there, get that rush. He's got a best friend. The pair of them meet this other fella who they end up kind of idolising and worshipping and wanting to become, and he goes for these more challenging, bigger waves, and he takes them down to this kind of private, remote place. In terms of the reason why it's called Breathe, isn't necessarily attached to a relationship with the waves and actually trying to breathe underwater or anything like that. It's much more nuanced, and then kind of goes to a very sexual place. I don't want to spoil too much for anybody, but I just enjoyed the journey and the pace, and it feels like a hazy summer day. This is a really good summery read, and a kind of a nostalgic feeling, because he's looking back in and reflecting on what was. I do remember it being problematic that this didn't have a single full stop, because it's all like a stream of consciousness. It's him revisiting, reliving that life that he once had and having that sense of reflection. But a stunning piece of writing in a lot. The next one I have is The Devil's Elixir, which is E.T.A. Hoffman. This one I read quite a while ago, but again, this is another, it's collecting dust now. I'm not going to revisit it. I liked the sound of what it was talking about, because there is the lead character is a bit of a deviant, and there are these devil elixirs which lead him down a very dark, immoral path, and it starts off quite subtle, and then it takes a really steep dive, and then he's trying to like discover a way out, or a way of becoming just a nice person again, and he never really achieves it. It's about morality, it's about clean living, and what it means when you massively mess that up for yourself, and what the consequences are of that. The next one I'm talking about is Ready Player One. I have left a few notes on this one, but I'm sure they will be enjoyed by someone. I massively love this book, but it is a chunkster, and I feel like I probably won't be rereading it. I'm really glad that I have read the book, because it is such a different experience from the film. Spielberg chose tiny elements of the book and then just recreated it in his own image, basically, I feel like. Whereas this is like the heart and soul of 80s gamers, and a true celebration of that, and films and literature of that period. Whereas I felt the film was a corporate version of that in a lot of ways, and actually feels emblematic of the 101 enemy in my mind, if I'm being really cynical about it. I feel like Spielberg probably did a number on it, but he's still kind of like, he is an 80s icon in a lot of sense as well. He did a brilliant job with it. It was a fun adventure. But yeah, I don't feel like I need to hold on to this one particularly. If you've not read it, I would massively encourage people to read it, because it's a great read. The next one, which I'm passing on, is Valdemir Navablok's Lolita. I actually really enjoyed this one. I can remember reading this in college. I've not picked it up since. I don't think I will be either. But this looks at the poet and the pervert, Humbert, who's obsessed with the 12-year-old Lolita. And I can remember at the time just being really curious, like, why would this person be obsessed with someone so young? It's worth like learning about or exploring to a degree, so this might be an interesting one for somebody else. Next one, which I'm passing on, is 13 Reasons Why, which is by Jay Escher. I have done a video where I'm exploring a comparison between characters in the TV series on Netflix and the portrayal of the characters in the book, because the TV series is significantly more queer than comes across in the book, like at all. They are worlds apart from each other, and I just thought that was interesting and worth exploring, so I've done a video on that. You're welcome to check it out. You get Clay, who picks up these tapes from Hannah, who has committed suicide, and through the 13 tapes you learn the reasons why she committed suicide. That's the general premise of it. It's a really interesting journey. It looks at the kind of complicated lives of teenagers and how incrementally those lifestyle choices, those situations that you can get put in, can equal to something which is really devastating, but it also kind of looks at that wider impact that it has upon people, and I thought it's just a really clever device in terms of using the tapes to tell that story. So the next one is Mad World, which is Evelyn One and the Secrets of Brideshead. I honestly can't remember too much about this. I remember being quite bored. It felt just like quite a dull non-fiction read for me personally, but I feel like there is going to be someone else out there who will know more about this person, who will have more direct interest in this person, and will find this, as it says on the back, vibrant, absorbing, stranger than fiction. Whereas for me, it just didn't resonate and didn't interest me. So there we go. The next one I've got is The Great Gatsby, which is Scott Fitzgerald. I love this. I actually watched the film first and then was like, that was actually really fun and entertaining. I wonder what the actual book was like, and was incredibly excited by the book. And I thought what actually happened in the film was beautifully put together. I particularly remember the scene which is portraying the block of flats where he's having a party, and he just steps outside and he's looking into the different windows and sees all the different forms of life which is happening around him, and how that is beautifully translated from word into film. The book, in a lot of sense, was a bit more risky than the film, which I was surprised by, but it's a fast-paced, fun read, and I just love the end hotel scene, and then the events that lead up after it. You either know or don't know the story, and if you don't know the story, you really should. It's brilliant. It's totally held the test of time and explores a really interesting period in terms of the 1920s and Prohibition and all that type of jazz. It's just great, it's fun. The next one I have mentioned a couple of times on my channel, but this is Paula Volsky's Illusions. This is a super chunkster. This is something you only want to do or try on a holiday, which is exactly what I did. I had several books which I had all the ambition to read. I ended up reading this one and like one other book because it just took me so long. The language in it is quite dense, quite flowery, because it's portraying this particular character who is of this kind of elite group of people who have magic tendencies, but through the test of time that has become diluted and is weaker, and there is this uprising which happens from the local people, and this lead character, what's her name? Shireen, she goes into this city, and she witnessed this uprising of this civil war happening around her, and how it leads to the deaths of like this elite group of people. It really showcases her demise and fall from grace, and how she picks herself up, and you end up really rooting for her. She's a really snotty, privileged little girl, but from at the start, and she does grow up and snap out of it, and she does experience hardship, and you end up just wanting her to kind of be safe and to get rescued and find her way through. And I just really enjoyed the journey, and I enjoyed the background magic that was going on. This giant torturous device which just literally spikes people and makes them disappear is a nod to the guillotine instead. But I just thought it's a great standalone piece of fantasy. And then finally, Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. I love that phrase, it's a Catch-22 situation, and I didn't really fully understand it in terms of the depth of it, and I really wanted to fully understand what that mean. I always kind of understood what a Catch-22 was, but I wanted to understand exactly where it came from, and so I did that. I read this. I had no idea how funny and fun this book would be. It is, from start to finish, hilarious. I've had the best time reading this one. It's all about bureaucracy, and it's about the experience of giving your life for war, and what does that mean? What is the purpose of that, and how meaningful is that sacrifice that you would give yourself, your life, to a system, to a country, wherever that is. And you've got the lead character who throughout it is just trying to survive and get out of that situation. I just loved everything about this book, and I am happy to give this out to the world because I think more people should read it. So those are all the books which I am culling, and hopefully you can see the range of the reasons why, but I am culling those books. Part of what I want to say is that I am offering these to the first come, first serve of viewers who have stuck around and wanted to stay. It's only going to be open up for this week. The rest of them I will then be going on to charity so that other people can enjoy them. But if you want to, add in the comment below which book that you want. It is first come, first serve situation. You will then have to email me directly. I will add my email address at the bottom so you can give me your address, and I will send you a lovely Christmas message and a little Christmas gift. These are all second-hand reads, so they are not in the best state, some of them, but they're in pretty good shape, and I'm sure it will be just a bit of Christmas seasonal fun for you to enjoy. It is my kind of Christmas gift to those who have hung around and wanted to listen to my whole message. So I hope you are all genuinely doing well, and that you can embrace some of this seasonal cheer and do think of others. I think Eric did a really, really nice video where he's talking about his experience of homelessness. I'll add a link down that below, which is partly inspired the reason why I've done this as well. And yeah, Caesar's greetings. Take care, and I'll see you all again real soon. Alright, bye!